mcc.edu website has our academic calendar, important dates in terms of when final exams are happening, when we have breaks and vacations, which is also important to get familiar with that website, because when there are urgent and critical updates, the front page of our website will have them. So if we have weather delays, if we have power outages, if we have a change in our status in terms of opening versus closing, which, as many of you can imagine, happened quite a bit last March when we were trying to figure out what was happening with the COVID-19 pandemic. And some days we were open, some days we were closed. We really didn't forecast for how long we'd be in that status. So we were using the front page of our website in addition to emails to our students so that everyone had that information available to them. The other thing that I would say, again, to students and family members together as a team, is that we can't share any information about a student to anyone other than that student without the student's permission. So that includes academic information, in the rare occurrence that there's conduct-related information. We don't really have a whole lot of those issues on campus. But if a family member calls, even about the bill or financial aid, the student has to grant us permission, and they can do that in one of two primary ways. One way is that they can be involved in the discussion, so the student is present. And that can be on the phone, it can be on a Zoom call, it could also be in person, where the student is saying to us, this is my guardian, parent, family member, and I would like you to talk with them about this question or concern, and I'm comfortable with that. The other way that can happen is that a student or a parent guardian can file a FERPA release with the college. And FERPA is the Federal Educational Right to Privacy Act. And basically what you're doing as a student is that you're granting a specific person or specific persons the opportunity to learn and know that information. And we actually log that into our system so that when you make a phone call and you say, I'm Jason Zaleski, I'm Aiden Zaleski's dad, and I have permission to talk with you about his student account and financial aid. Our staff member will look that up, they'll see that permission, and then they'll freely talk with you about that. And we have some students, particularly our younger students, or our students who are working with a particular social worker or a personal care attendant, someone who's providing them sort of day-to-day support, and may even be accompanying them on campus to help with, just navigating the college campus on a day-to-day basis. They are often granted that privacy exemption. What family members need to know is that students are in control of that exemption, so they can give it and they can take it away. And often they will take it away around grade time when grades are published. So that doesn't mean that we communicate to you directly. We won't email you this information directly, but if you contact us or email me, we will be able to share that with you. Now, that being said, I talked about that partnership between family and support network, student and student services. If a family member, parent is worried about their student, I want you to call me. And I'm going to ask Kathy to put my phone number and the student services email in the chat so you have it. We will always talk with you about what's going on. And we can talk with you in general purpose, sort of general conversation. And if we're ever worried about any type of health and safety, we can always reach out. That's an exemption. If a student doesn't show up to class and you're worried about where they are, that's a different type of conversation. That FERPA protection really is about the educational record, sort of their business at the college. We have to keep that private. Even if they're 15 years old and they're a dual enrollment student, we still have to keep that private. So with that as an introduction, do folks have questions? I would love to sort of see what's on your mind and see if we can answer any questions specifically about the Mount Wachusett experience for the folks that are on the Zoom call with us tonight. And again, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to come and say hello and meet all of us. Any questions? So we could take you off mute, or you could pop it in chat. James has a question about bus passes. You do get a student discount for the bus. So if you use your student ID, you get half off of your bus ride. It doesn't have to be to and from campus. It's period. In general, you get that student discount. So you can, you can purchase a bus pass through MART. So you can get monthly passes through MART. You could use your financial aid refund for that, but you do get a student discount. And so if you go on the MART website, you will see that fee and fare breakdown. And it's pretty nice to be able to have that student college discount, and you should definitely use it. And if you don't have a student ID or you don't have your hard copy ID, if you email me, I can send you a quick note and copy our contact at MART to make sure they're aware that you would qualify for that discount. Good question, James.
I also just put in the chat the link on how to get your student ID if you haven't already done so, because I process those IDs and we do it completely remotely.
And that's, yeah, so we're doing a virtual ID process. So you can upload a photo, we verify your government ID, your identification, and then we send that to you in the mail. And essentially that process in and of itself is really indicative of how we're trying to do all of our services with students in a remote, low contact fashion. Everything from having your textbook shipped to you or a low contact pickup on the Gardner campus. All of our services are available to students. So for the family members who haven't heard some of this information, we have counseling services here at Mount Wachusett. Our mental health counselor, Melissa Manzi, does remote counseling on Zoom or on phone. We have academic support, so tutoring. So we have a staff of tutors in the building doing tutoring over Zoom or on the phone or asynchronous over email or chat. While our library isn't open for students to browse in person, our team of librarians are here. Students reserve books online through the library website. Our librarians will unshelve them and pack them up for you and then schedule a time for you to drive onto campus and pick them up. So we are doing everything we can to create a safe, healthy environment, as low contact as possible, but still delivering all of the services that our students need in order to be successful. And we've had lots of training over the last 7 months doing this and building this out, and it's been very effective over the spring and summer. So James has a question about finding your classes. Do you mean, James, the physical classroom if you're on campus, or do you mean your schedule in general? Yes, so the physical classroom. So here's what's going to happen next week. I will physically be in the hallway. You won't miss me. You will check in. There's only one way for students to come into the building, and that's through entrance C. And the wonderful folks at Campus Police staff that desk all day long. So there's one way you can find your classroom, which is when you check in at the desk and say, hey, I'm James and I have my English 101 class and it's in this class and I don't know where it is. Campus Police are going to provide you some directions, and I will be sitting in the hallway at my own sort of remote desk helping escorting students to the classroom. So if Campus Police thinks you need maybe a personal escort to find it, I will be your personal tour guide with my face covering to your classroom. And that will be a good way for us to meet. And I will be walking around campus on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then the following week on Monday and Tuesday. And that will cover sort of that whole academic schedule. We are one building. So believe it or not, it is not that challenging to find the classes. But if you haven't been on campus before, it certainly will take you a couple of minutes to figure that out. And that's why we have folks on campus for you to check in with who will direct you appropriately. Sound good, James? Thumbs up? Good. All right, other questions?
Do you guys know if the online classes, they happen in online? I'm assuming that English 101's online at this point.
We do have, so that's a great question. So what we tried to do in thinking very strategically about a limited number of in-person classes is we identified first the courses that really could not be done remotely. And those are hands-on learning courses. So our selective health courses. So it's hard to do CPR or physical therapy or EKG work remotely. So we prioritized those classes. Then we prioritized our lab science courses next. And typically what happens with our lab science courses is that the lecture is remote and the lab is in person. So typically those courses would meet twice a week, once for lecture and once for an extended lab. Now they're going to meet once a week for that extended lab portion. And students will wear face coverings in the lab. And if required, because of the laboratory work, they will have PPE available for them. So that's that personal protection equipment. So if they need goggles or if they need a lab coat, that will be provided to students in that lab for that particular lab experience. And then the third priority were the classes that we found that we needed to provide at least some in-person options, because students were commenting to us that they were really struggling in only online. And that was our entry-level English courses, which included our developmental English and English 101 and 102, and our entry-level math courses. Because our students, if they're going to struggle, they tend to struggle in those first English courses in college and in those entry-level first math courses in college, because sometimes the high school preparation may not have, there may be a little bit of a gap there between what happened in high school and what's going to happen in the college environment. So we gave choices. So for English 101, there is an on-campus set of choices and a remote set of choices. And we advisors were, the design for advisors was to ask students what they were most comfortable with and then giving them that choice. So during the add drop period, which is the first 5 days of the semester, a student can make a change. So if they're in an in-person course and they're not comfortable, they can jump into an English 101 online course and vice versa. So if your student is thinking, oh boy, I really do want to be in person for English, we still have time to make that switch, and we can, in advising, can do that with them. So that is an option.
Okay.
Some of our remote courses, just to expound on that answer a little bit, some remote courses are synchronous. And what that means is it will say that it's a web course, but then it will list a day and a time. And if it lists a specific day and a time, it means that this instructor is gathering the whole class together at that specific day and time for a virtual live classroom. And when a student signs up for a remote course with that synchronous component, the expectation is that, for example, every Tuesday and Thursday, they will be on a Zoom call or a Blackboard Collaborate call, same different platform, same experience like this one, for a certain set of time every week. So there's like an attendance and an expectation of attendance. And then we have remote courses that will have a TBA or an asterisk next to them under the date and time. And that means that those students do not have a specific time where they need to appear or show up. They will be working in their Blackboard shell asynchronously. So they will be following the schedule, talking to their faculty over email or individual chat for office hours or individual appointments. And they will be passing in assignments and doing their work based on the syllabus and calendar that the faculty member has created. All of our faculty will have virtual office hours where students can jump in and ask questions of them. So those are the two different kinds of remote courses. And then the on-ground course is that classic come into campus on the Gardner, Leominster, and Devens campus. We do have courses on all three campuses. And those are designated by a campus code. So GAR is Gardner, DEV is Devens, and LEO is Leominster. But looking at this call, most students will probably be on the Gardner campus. Our Devens campus has a couple of labs, including some Saturday labs for our nursing students, mostly nursing classes on the Devens campus. And Leominster does have some English and math courses that students may be taking, but that would be their choice to choose the Leominster campus.
Yep.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
My grandson, now he's renting the books from the college. Now he's on state financial aid.
Yep.
I did the book he just ordered, I paid with my account.
Mhm.
But it says something, he has to turn those books in December? Or don't they rent them for the whole session or?
Yep, so December is when the semester will end. So most of our courses, and you'll see this on your schedule, students, run from September 9 to December 23. Those are the dates that will be covered in your class schedule. Some courses will end before December 23rd because students, I've got lots of emails from our returning students saying, December 23rd, that's aggressive. But that is the full length of our academic calendar. We're required to have a certain number of contact hours and days, just like high schools are. Every college and university is required to have a certain number of contact hours for the number of credits that the course is. So that takes us to December 23rd. Most of our faculty will wrap up probably the week before or a couple of days before the 23rd with a final exam or a final paper. So part of a book rental is that contract to return the book as you get to the end of the semester. So typically those books are due at the end of December and early January so that they can be re-rented out for the second semester.
So for the second semester, he'll be renting different books that they will
That's
get?
correct. Yep, that's correct. These courses are semester by semester. So we have a fall semester and a spring semester. So there will be, in about November, second week of November, is our course registration time period for the spring semester. You don't have to register for your spring courses right away in November. Our returning students would probably offer you the advice that the sooner you register, the more options you have available to you in terms of scheduling, preferable scheduling. So we will be inviting students to register for spring, and then books will be available for purchase for the spring semester, probably in early December as faculty put their book lists in.
Mhm. Now, Lori said he's on financial aid. Now, I was told that the financial aid pays for these books. Now, is that so or not?
That's not 100% accurate. Everyone's financial aid is a little different.
Okay.
So everyone's financial aid package is based on their own unique financial and tax situation.
Now, how do I find this out? Because like I say, he's a foster child I have.
Yep. So he would reach out to financial aid, and I can chat that email address at the bottom, and provide them with his name and his student ID number, and they will talk to him about how much financial aid he has. And if you have a refund, meaning that your bill is less than your financial aid award, which is true for many of our students, then that extra refund money can be used to purchase or rent your books.
Okay.
Or it will be dispersed to you in the form of a refund in about the 6th week of college. So the Department of Education, which is where financial aid comes from, it doesn't come from Mount Wachusett, it comes from the federal government to Mount Wachusett, then dispersed to the student. They require that the student remain in the class and remain a student for a certain period of time before they will disperse that refund money directly to the student.
Okay.
But you can use it right now if you have refund money for book purchases or rentals.
Well, like I say, he don't have, I mean, this is going to be his first year, so.
Yep. So there's the email address for financial aid right there.
Okay. Now he's taking a pill for ADHD. Now, does that make any difference?
I didn't hear the first part of your
He
question.
takes the pill for ADHD. Now, is that going to create any problems?
So medications are personal decisions for students. That's not something that the college would get themselves involved in any way.
Okay.
However, if
He usually takes it before, breakfast.
Yep, he would need to sort of take care of himself. All students would need to sort of take care of themselves. We don't have any medications on campus. However, any student who has a documented disability, either physical, psychological, or a learning disability, is we recommend that they register with our disability support services team, because they may qualify for accommodations inside and outside of the classroom. So if you're a student or your student had an IEP in high school or a 504 plan in high school, then we have a similar parallel experience here at all colleges and universities. It is a little different. It falls under the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, but it does allow for and provide, with documentation, appropriate learning accommodations to provide equity in the classroom. And lots of our students take advantage of disability support services. So that can include accommodations like extra time to take exams, low distraction testing environment, the use of adaptive technology to take exams. So for example, there are certain learning disabilities like dysgraphia, where numbers are jumbled together or inverted, where those students can use a calculator, whereas other students might not be able to without an accommodation.
And who would he have to contact for that?
Kathy, just put that right in the chat. So you or James can grab that and just cut and paste that. There's a phone number, and our coordinator for disability services, her name is Amy Labarge, and she will reach out and talk with you directly, or you and James directly, to develop a plan of attack.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions from folks? Great questions. Anything else that we can help you with? We're here to answer any questions that you may have, and really appreciate your time this evening. We're always here to help. One of the things that I am most proud of, I've been at Mount Wachusett for 7 years. Kathy is a proud alum of Mount Wachusett. I've worked on college campuses for the last 25 years, mostly 4-year residential before coming to Mount Wachusett. As a first-generation college student myself, the first in my family to go to college, I appreciate and value the work that we do with our students every day. And one of the things that I am most proud of is our relationship with our students, and how accessible we are to our students and to our parents and families. I say this to Kathy all the time, Kathy lives in the community too. I live in Gardner, and I do some of my best Dean of Student work at Hannaford. The other day at Job Lot, I spent 35 minutes with 3 of our students who work there, trying to get them ready for orientation. 3 nursing students, they all work at Job Lot, and they attacked me when I walked through the door. We are a family, and we are very committed to the success of your student. So at any point in time, students or family members, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are only a phone call or an email away, and we are very invested in the success of your student. Anything else that you need to know this evening? We are recording all of our sessions. So maybe Kathy, if you could put our orientation link up there. So for the guardians and parents and family members that are listening and are on the call, we have done and will be doing 17 sessions this week. And for example, we did just do the other day a session for students with documented disabilities. All of those were recorded, and all of those are on the website that Kathy just texted in the chat. So if you click that link, you can go and watch the video of all of the sessions that we've had so far. So we know that lots of our students are busy and they're not able to come onto these sessions live. So we've committed to recording them so that students can have them, and watch them at their leisure, and still have an opportunity to learn and at least meet the folks that they should be emailing and talking to if they have questions. The hardest part of being primarily remote is we haven't seen students in a long time. And I've been living with students on Zoom for the last 7 months, and that's not where I'm most comfortable. Kathy does all of our programming and activities here on campus, Typically, we have 100 programs a semester, most of them with free food and most of them on campus. But Kathy has transitioned to doing virtual programming. It's not our preference. It's not ideal, but we want our students to get involved. We want them to meet each other, and we want them to have fun. College is about your academic work, and it's hard and it's challenging, but it's also supposed to be fun and engaging and social. And so Kathy has provided our students with lots of opportunities to connect and interact. And we hope students will take advantage of that. And she did a session about getting involved, and you can watch that recording on our website. So check that out if you're interested in joining a club or organization, or a couple of clubs, or going to our programs. We certainly have all of that stuff available to you. And the common question that I've been getting from parents and students is what about spring? What's the plan for January? My hope is that we will continue to move forward with a reopening and be able to offer even more courses in person. But we also know that not everyone's comfortable coming to campus or sitting in a classroom with a face covering. So we are going to continue to offer those online remote options as well for folks that may not be yet comfortable coming out and sitting in the classroom. Some folks are, and some folks aren't. We had a very positive response from lots of students for our on-campus courses, and then we had some students say that they weren't ready yet, and that's okay. We are going to provide both options until we can get to a place where folks are comfortable coming back out. And we had online courses for a lot of years. In fact, Mount Wachusett was the first institution in Massachusetts to offer an online course, first college to have an online course. We were a little ahead of that curve, but primarily we were an on-campus, classroom-based, seat-based campus. So this transition has meant all of our services sort of changing to adapt to our new normal, as we call it. So let me put out a last request for questions. I've covered all the things that I wanted to chat about this evening. Any additional questions before we say goodnight and wrap up? Okay. So again, Student Services is here to help. Student Services at mwcc.mass.edu. It's in the chat. That comes directly to me. And so if you have any questions, it goes directly to the phone that is always either in my hand or in my pocket. I will get back to you as soon as possible with an answer to your question. If you have not, and I will send this out, students, again, I sent a welcome letter on Monday morning, and I apologize, it's 5 pages long, but it includes all of the things that I think students need to know as they return to campus on the 9th. I am going to resend that on Friday in anticipation of the Labor Day weekend, and then we get started next week. I would encourage students to share that with their parents and family if they have questions or they're involved and want to know more. It includes hyperlinks to lots of different resources and pages. And I think it's one of those documents that I really want students to hang on to because it's got a ton of information about public transportation, tutoring, academic support, the library, getting involved, our policies and procedures, our important phone numbers and directory. It's everything you need at your fingertips. For me, I'm old school. I would print that out and hang it on my fridge. I know that that's not what our students do, but save it. Save that document somewhere where you can access it, because that's your lifeline if you ever have any questions, and it includes all of my contact information. So with that, I will wish you all a good night. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Kathy, for hosting. And if you have any questions or private questions, please reach out to me and I'm happy to answer those. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.